again. And we continue. Next chapter. Grown up. If you do not conquer self, you will be conquered by self. Napoleon Hill. As I grew up, life kept me distracted. School, homework, more school, work, boys. Not really. Just looking at them. Life. I did well in school and loved it. So much so, I decided the obvious career choice was teaching. I majored in secondary education, thinking it would be easier. Ha! I thought younger kids would be difficult. Too much responsibility. Molding young minds. Who was I to do that? I'm just thinking back, it's funny. I thought junior high school would be just as bad. Hormonal youngsters with attitudes. I definitely did not want that responsibility. I thought high school was the perfect option. I would not be much older than the students, so I could relate to them and their issues on some level, and they would feel more comfortable with me as well. I could not have been more wrong. Majoring in secondary education, I was required to teach grades 6 through 12. During my student teaching at a junior high, I was blessed with the greatest kids. They were smart, polite, and eager to actually learn. The high school kids, not so much. The high school kids could not have cared much less for learning. They just wanted to do the minimum and get out. Not the type of attitudes I was willing to put up with. A few even made comments about the fact that I wasn't much older than them, so why should they listen to me? Or who did I think I was trying to tell them what to do? Really? This was the way it was going to be? I was so out of my element. I was raised to respect adults, those who deserved it, and to listen to my teachers. My teachers were my best friends. Talking back and disrespecting them to their face was never thought of. Of course, this was a long time ago. I have heard it is much, much worse these days, and even much worse these days. After graduating from college, I decided that teaching high school was not on my list for a pleasant life, and neither was living where I was. So I worked, dreaming of the day I would escape. Now, I need to clarify some things. Kentucky is a spectacularly beautiful state. It is full of wonderful, loving, kind, and generous people. And most important, my wonderful family members. But I was not happy or even content there. Sorry, Dad. It just never felt like home to me. I had actually moved away a couple times in my younger days. I liked the places I lived a little bit, but the situations were far from ideal. So I would always come back. And I love my family. I was at home with my family, but not the area. You know what I'm saying. I can't really say my life was hard or even really that difficult, although I thought it was tough back then. It just was not fulfilling. And I always felt that there was so much more out there, so much more for me to do and be. Not that being Miss Congeniality of the nightclub world was not entertaining at times, it was just not enough, especially in a semi-small town that thought it was a big city. Finally, I decided if I wanted a real life, a happy, healthy life, or even if I wanted to live at all, sorry again, Dad, I had to get out. I seriously felt that if I stayed, I would not live much longer. Whether I would have drunk myself to death or opened a vein, it would not have been pretty. During my last winter there, I made my decision. I was going to Las Vegas that coming summer. Didn't know how I was going to get there or what I was going to do when I got there, but I was going. Why Vegas? Why not? Actually, I had gone there when I graduated from college and fell in love with it. The heat, the desert, the people watching mostly. I almost did not come back, but I felt that would not have been responsible, silly me. I actually worked with a gal at the time that was from Las Vegas. She was planning on moving back to that summer as well. So we decided we could share a U-Haul. And she could help me get to know the town. Great. Or not. Turns out that gal and I only got along in small doses. She moved in with me for a couple months before we were supposed to move. And it was tolerable, but had we driven cross country together, I believe only one of us would have made it. Not sure which one. And I think she's still there. Looked her up maybe 5 years ago, and she was in Henderson. Haven't spoken to her though. In the meantime, another guy we worked with said he was moving to Phoenix and that I was more than welcome to tag along with him. He said he could get me a job where he was going. He went on to say that Phoenix is close enough to Vegas to fly up and find a job and a place to live. Bingo! That sounded like a more responsible plan. I was in for a long haul, the longest haul of my life. It was an exciting experience, but I'm just not the patient. But I'm not that patient, and my bladder is way too small. I'm just saying. Talking about driving cross country. I will never drive or ride that far again, if I can help it. I would rather sell everything I own or just give it away and fly somewhere and start from scratch. Seriously. Seriously. When the time came in June, there was no turning back. Not that I wasn't a bit scared. In fact, I had a minor breakdown the day before I left. Whew, this is a tough one. I was sober for the first time in I don't remember how long, and thought, what the hell am I doing? I don't know anything about Arizona. I was leaving the security of what I had known for so long, such as it was. I was leaving my family. What did I really know about this dude I was going with? I calmed down immediately, and the joy started rising as soon as this little voice reminded me of why I was going. If I wanted to live, if I wanted to live and wanted a life, I needed to go. That was my crew. First time I really paid attention in a while. I knew in my heart that was the truth. The doubting part of me followed up with, even if it doesn't work out, at least I tried. The drive was exhausting. My dog handled it better than I did, I think. But it was all worth it when we stopped in Flagstaff to get gas, the last stop before heading into Phoenix. I got out to stretch and let my puppy and me have a potty break. I could see the lights of the city in the distance. Get goosebumps from that moment. I remember the moment. I stared, took a deep breath of that warm, dry air, and realized I was going home for the first time. Something deep inside me felt the joy and this amazing sense of relief. As we got a little closer to Phoenix, that feeling rose to the surface. I teared up with a combination of happy and sad tears. Happy I was here, and sad because it took me so long. When we passed the sign saying, "Welcome to Phoenix," I felt in my entire being I was finally home. Whew. Sorry, guys. It really is kind of difficult to describe the feeling I was experiencing at that time, especially to my family. You try to say just how extraordinarily elated you are, how relieved you are, how excited. Your family only hears how happy you are to be away from them. That was not the case at all. Love my family. In fact, to this day, I try to talk my family into moving out here. They are the only missing item to make this a perfect place. Well, my family and maybe an ocean. Or a lake closer. But now I have a pool, so that works. Finally. It was like a whole other world being in Arizona. I felt like an entirely different person. My goosies again. Look at that. It was incredible. Even before I had found a place to live, I felt at home. The energy was so different. I felt my soul truly emerging. Using terms like energy and soul was so different. As I got to know people here, I began to realize that a lot of them were more open to ideas of the metaphysical. I mean, come on. The sky alone here is like you are in direct connection with God. Especially when I first got here. Before the new polluters moved in. Don't move here. No more moving here, people. But even now it is spectacular. Yeah, since I've been here, it's grown so much. And I'm still happy. I had planned on getting back into school to get a master's in education so I could teach college. I thought that would be better since the students would be older and paying for classes, so they would actually pay attention and maybe show some respect. In checking the phone book for schools, I came across 3 massage schools. Now there are probably more than 20. Actually, at the time of this writing, now we're back down to 3. I think. Maybe 2. No, there's still 3. Anyway, I had done massage on friends and family as far back as I can remember. I even had one friend, John, who I would work on, and he always said, "You should do this for a living." And I thought, yeah, right. Because back then and back there were no legitimate massage clinics. You could go to the one fancy hotel in town that had a masseuse or 2 on staff, but that was it. A place did finally open up about a month before I moved, and there was a 6-month waiting list just to get in. Bit of a sign, don't you think? Anyway, my friend actually looked into licensing and schooling at one point. The only schools he found were in Washington State, Colorado, New York, and Atlanta.